Welcome to Echoes of Temptation, the channel where stories don't ask for permission to enter and shake you to your core. Here, each episode brings you accounts that are either real or inspired by raw truths, intense loves, unexpected betrayals, difficult choices, and new beginnings marked by scars. If you crave powerful narratives with real emotion and characters who could be you or someone you know, you're in the right place. Every week, a new story that echoes where it hurts the most, in the heart and in the conscience. These are accounts that stir your memories, your feelings, and often the decisions you haven't yet had the courage to make. Here, there's no emotional makeup, only the truth, hard, raw, and necessary. Because sometimes what we call drama is just life as it really is. Subscribe now and hit the bell so you don't miss a single twist. Comment, share, and send us your story. Here, your voice is heard and even silence speaks. Welcome to the channel that listens before it judges and transforms pain into a narrative. Echoes of Temptation, because real life deserves to be told. I'm 35 years old, and I can honestly say I've built a solid life. I'm a naval engineer. I chose this profession with both my head and my heart. It's not for everyone. It demands discipline, responsibility, and a certain comfort with solitude. But I've never been the type to back down from a challenge. And the sea, well, the sea is the greatest of them all. I work offshore. I spend long periods away from solid ground, from family, from a conventional routine. Sometimes I'm at sea for 15 days, other times 30. There have been times we were stuck for almost 2 months, unable to return. It all depends on the ocean's mood. And the sea, I know, has a will of its own. When we're on board, time flows differently. We wake up early, follow rigid schedules. We handle situations that require pinpoint precision. Life on board is like a Swiss watch. Every gear has to work perfectly. One mistake, and everything can fall apart. But when I disembark, I'm just an ordinary man. I like the simple things: a strong coffee in the morning, a good cut of steak on the grill, a long, unhurried conversation with childhood friends. I cherish every minute on land as if it were gold, and it is. I don't complain. This life has given me stability. It's taught me patience. It's shown me the value of trusting in teamwork. It also taught me that longing is part of the package, and that those who love must know how to wait. It was on one of those trips back home, after 20 some days at sea, that I went straight to a party organized by friends. Nothing big, just the old guard, cold beer, grilled meat, and good laughs. The kind of gathering that warms the soul of someone who lives more on the swaying sea than in the comfort of land. That's where I saw her, Fernanda, beautiful, the kind of presence that makes a room fall silent for a second, even with loud music and people talking over each other. She had green eyes that could give an experienced sailor a hangover, a firm posture, the air of someone who knows exactly who she is and where she stands. A woman who didn't come into this world just for a visit. The strange thing was, she already knew who I was. That threw me for a moment. I found out later that my best friend Marcos's girlfriend had told her about me. Who knows what she said? I hope it was the good stuff. Hardworking, loyal, a man of his word, not the stories from when I was younger, thinking I could tame the sea and the world with my bare chest. Our conversation started light, unassuming, but with that invisible thread of mutual interest. You know when your eyes meet more often than chance allows? That was it. Life had been moving to the rhythm of the sea, predictable in its unpredictability, until she appeared. And suddenly, nothing was so simple anymore. After that night, I couldn't get Fernanda out of my head. And believe me, out on the high seas, with machines vibrating, the radio crackling, and rough waters, thinking about anything other than work is saying a lot. We started talking almost every day. When the connection allowed, I'd send messages, voice notes, photos of the infinite sky. The kind of sky you only see in the middle of the ocean. She'd reply with good humor and a light heart. It was good to know that, even far away, someone was waiting for news from me. But it wasn't long before reality hit, or rather, hit the hull. Living between departures and arrivals requires more than just missing someone. It demands presence even in absence. She had her routine, full of commitments, and I had mine, with days counted by shifts, alarms, and protocols. Sometimes, the internet would disappear for 2, 3 days. Along with it, the chance to say goodnight, or I miss you, or even a simple, is everything okay over there? I missed birthdays, family gatherings, important dates. There was one time I had to ship out the day before a weekend we had planned together. She cried. Her eyes begged me to stay a little longer, but I couldn't. The sea waits for no one, and her pain was mine too. On another occasion, we went almost 4 days without talking. When I finally got a signal, my heart was already tight in my chest. On the other end, her voice sounded cold, hesitant, different. I understood. I didn't blame her. Loving someone who lives at sea is an exercise in faith. It's not for everyone. But Fernanda chose to stay. She said it wasn't easy, that sometimes it felt like being in a relationship with a ghost. She used to say it was like loving a ghost in a blue uniform and safety boots. But she also said she saw something solid in me, maybe the same kind of solidity I learned to look for in naval projects. A strong structure, a well-built foundation, capable of withstanding even the roughest waters. Over time, we created our rituals. When I disembarked, the first coffee was always with her, no matter the hour. Sometimes I'd arrive at 3 in the morning. She'd be there. Old sweatshirt, fresh coffee, and a smile that could dismantle any amount of longing. It was during one of those calmer homecomings, when the sea seemed to have given me my breath back, that I realized it. Fernanda was truly by my side, not just in those pre-dawn moments that smelled of coffee, but in the delays, the silences, the spaces between I'll be back and I'm home. Even when I was far away, she remained close, not just waiting, but living with me from a distance. The weight and the beauty of this crooked routine of a man of the sea. And that's when I decided to take a leap of faith. I asked Fernanda to move in with me. It wasn't a movie scene, no bent knee or background music. It was a Tuesday, my duffel bag still leaning against the door. I smelled of diesel oil. She looked at me. surprised, then smiled that way that always disarmed me, and said yes, as if to say, I was already here anyway. It was simple, it was right, and it was ours. After a year of living together, our routine settled. It wasn't perfect, none are, but there was a partnership. We had our rituals, our shared quirks. Fernanda took care of the house, of life on solid ground. I followed my course between ports, machines, and silence. I truly believed we had something solid. Who would agree to live with a man who spends half his time at sea, if not for love? That's when I decided to ask Fernanda to marry me. I planned it my way, practical, no frills, with the emotion of someone who learned to handle storms but never got used to the calm of true love. I proposed during a simple dinner at home, just the two of us. No audience, no spectacle, just truth. She said yes, and for a while, I believed that I had found my safe harbor. But the sea, or perhaps fate, decided to change the course. On one of my trips, we had a technical problem. Nothing serious, but enough to bring us back to port 2 days early. I thought, this is the perfect chance for a surprise. It seemed only fair to return, with a simple gesture, the dedication I thought was mutual. I didn't tell anyone. I grabbed my things and went straight home. As I approached, I saw her sister's car out front. I smiled. They must be catching up. But when I opened the gate and her voice reached me, the laugh I heard wasn't light. It was dry, mocking. It had a tone I'd never heard before. And then came the words, clear, cruel. I can't stand that man. He disgusts me. But his salary supports the life I've always wanted, and the best part is, he's always away. It even gives me a chance to see Eduardo every now and then, the only man I've ever truly loved. My hand trembled. The heart that had faced so many raging seas for the first time felt like it was about to sink in my chest. I stood there, motionless, invisible, a ghost in my own home. I didn't go in. I walked back to the car, like a man who'd lost his compass. I sat there, stunned, trying to understand where I'd gone so wrong. How could a man so used to reading the sea not see the storm brewing inside his own house? I went to a small, discreet hotel, the kind where no one asks questions. The silence there was heavy, not the silence of peace, but the peace, but the silence of someone chewing on a bitter truth. She didn't know I was back. Maybe she was at home laughing again. Maybe with this Eduardo, the only man she ever truly loved. I, on the other hand, was alone, sitting on the edge of the bed, not even taking off my boots. And there, in the silence that once brought me tranquility, I began to piece together the memories, all the small signs that, out of trust or blindness, I had ignored, the delayed messages, the declined calls, the always plausible excuses, the vacant stares, the deep sighs when we talked about the future. And worse than anything, the way she talked about me, always highlighting my effort, my work, my hectic life, as if I were a good story to tell, but not someone to live alongside, as if my absence were a gift. Each memory was a piece of a puzzle that, until then, I had refused to assemble. That night, I understood. I hadn't just lost a woman. I had lost what I believed to be a home, and that That hurts more than any storm. The next morning, I had my coffee like a man preparing for a new voyage, not of the body, but of the soul. I knew that from then on, nothing would be the same. I didn't go back home. Not yet. I sent a curt message, the kind I've written 1,000 times on the ship. We need to delay the return. Problems at sea. I'll talk when I can. Kiss. She replied with a simple, okay, take care. No, I miss you. No exclamation point. Like someone who no longer expects anything. Or like someone who has other plans in motion. I went back to sea, but this time with a different mission in mind. I hired a private investigator, a guy recommended by a friend from the Port Authority. Discreet, experienced, direct. The kind of man who's seen it all and isn't shocked by anything. I gave him the details: name, address, basic routine. I want to know who Fernanda is, without the filters. In less than a week, the answer came. Not by phone. He preferred to meet in person. Professional. We met at a neutral spot. He opened a thin folder filled with photos, dates, locations, and said only, "She's not hiding it. She's living as if you don't exist." Dinners with Eduardo, lunches at restaurants I had introduced her to, outings to places that, until then, had been ours. And it wasn't just him, parties, too many people coming and going from my house, ambiguous conversations with other men, a parallel life staged with the money I earned, a theater funded by my absence. The detective was meticulous, times, records, faces, everything documented, cold, professional. I, on the other side, pretended everything was normal on the ship. I kept my focus on the machines and the radio. But inside, the noise was louder than the engine room on a bad day. I didn't cry. I learned at sea that crying doesn't solve anything. Emotion clouds your judgment. And right now, I needed clear judgment. Not for pride, but for self-respect. I returned from the sea with a plan. No flowers, no warning, no theatrical reunion. The man who came back this time was not the same one who left. That one carried hope. This one carried only conviction. I arrived early. The sun was still hitting the side of the house. Our house. Or rather mine. Bought with my effort, with my absence, with the silence that only those who work at sea know. I went in slowly, quietly. Fernanda was in the bedroom, on the phone, laughing. A light laugh. Too light for someone about to be crushed by her own lie. The door opened without a sound, but my presence hung in the air like an approaching storm. She saw me and froze. The smile died mid-sentence. You? But didn't you say the trip was delayed? I closed the door calmly, placed my keys on the dresser. I remained standing, firm, like a man inspecting a crack in the hull. It was, and I took the opportunity to come back quietly. I like surprises. A shame I wasn't the only one, right? The color drained from her face. She tried to hold my gaze, but the eyes of a liar can't bear the weight of the truth. I don't know what you're talking about, love. I let out a short, cold laugh. You don't? Then let me refresh your memory. I pulled the envelope with the photos from my pocket, handed it to her as if I were passing over a technical report. Eduardo, dinner on Thursdays, the meetings at your sister's house, the flimsy excuses, and of course, the words you chose to describe me: disgust, contempt. But the salary, you respected that, didn't you? It gave you the freedom to see your true love while I was breaking my back in the middle of the Atlantic. She brought her hand to her mouth. The mask finally fell. She tried to speak, but the words came out as a frayed whisper. Did you hire someone to follow me? No. I hired someone to show me who you really are. And they succeeded. Brilliantly. Her voice shifted. She tried for a tone of regret. The single, quick tear. The performance. I got confused. It was a mistake. I still love you. I took a step back. No anger. No resentment. Just the quiet emptiness that follows a storm. No, Fernanda. You loved the comfort, the freedom, the idea of having everything while giving nothing in return. That isn't love. It's convenience. I handed her the second envelope, the papers for the sale of the house. You have 7 days to leave. My lawyer has already been informed. The wedding is off. No scandal, no fight, just the truth. And the end. She crumbled, cried, perhaps for the loss, perhaps for being exposed. She tried to argue, asked to talk, denied, accused, pleaded. But there was no more room for conversation. What was left was a man made whole again. A man who had returned from the sea with one certainty. Some things cannot be saved. Not with love, not with willpower, only with a clean break. And that's how I walked out of my own home, without a single look back. In that moment, I was no longer a fiancé, not a victim, not a fool. I was simply a man on his own 2 feet, master of his own destiny. A man who would allow no more shipwrecks in his life. The days that followed were silent, but it wasn't the silence of doubt. It was the clean silence of someone who has closed a chapter with dignity. I proceeded with the sale of the house like someone dismantling an old ship, piece by piece. No hurry, no attachment. I took only what was truly mine: clothes, documents, a box of old photos, and some letters. The rest remained like the debris of a poorly built project. I rented a small apartment near the shipyard, functional, unadorned. It smelled of new paint and freedom. A space with no memories, no ghosts, just space for me. I started cooking again. I rediscovered the pleasure of choosing what to eat, what to listen to, what to leave unsaid. The sea, once an escape, became my partner again. Going to sea was no longer about avoiding the world. It was about continuing to live lightly, knowing I wasn't leaving any lies behind. My cabin became a temporary home, the horizon my only commitment. On my days off, I started walking more. I remembered how much I enjoyed just sitting on a random bench and watching life go by. Simple things, things I had ignored before. I haven't looked for another love. Not yet. Some things need to heal in silence, with time, and with respect for what was lived, even when it hurt. But I confess, I've been smiling more, sleeping better, looking at myself in the mirror without looking away. And above all, I found myself again. That simple man who learned from the sea how to be strong without becoming hard, how to set sail without fear of starting over. If love comes again, may it be clean, calm, no bargains, no masks. But for now, just being at peace is enough. This has been another realistic, unfiltered story, the way life truly happens. not the way we wish it would. If you connected with this story, if you've been through something similar, or know someone who has faced such a turning point, leave a comment below. Your voice echoes here too. Subscribe to the Echoes of Temptation channel, hit the notification bell, and be the first to receive new episodes with stories of broken loves, discovered lies, difficult choices, and true new beginnings. Do you have a story to tell? Send it to us. Anonymity is guaranteed, and the truth is something we always tell.